Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Dhamma of Peace series number 15. The three trainings and mental defilements. Humans, everyone wants to be happy and not suffer. We are all unhappy when things are not going well, when the situation becomes difficult and complex. That is unhappy, which is suffering. There are two types. Depressive and aggressive, unwholesome consciousness. Two types of consciousness. One is depressive and one is aggressive. Both are anger. Anger means unhappy. Depressive anger tortures oneself. Not anybody. It is pointing within, so you alone suffer. And the aggressive anger lashes out and make both oneself and other suffer. Anger is not the only one. Greed. When we say greed, it is wanting, grasping, liking, attachment. In Pali, lobha. Delusion. Wrong knowing and ignorance. In Pali, it's called moha, avijja. So, not only dosa, lobha and moha are also the causes of suffering. And these three, lobha, dosa, moha, greed, anger and delusion, are called mental defilements, kilesa. Mental defilement, kilesa. As long as one has these negative mental states, one will suffer. And when the mind suffers, the body also suffers, because mind and bodies are connected through cause and effect. The mind's happy, the body is alert, upright, energetic. The mind's angry, the body becomes tightened, frozen. The mind's depressed, the body totally more like a collapse, like a very sick and ill person. always connected. What happens to the mind happens to the body. If one gets rid of the three group of mental defilements, stage by stage, one will become happy. You cannot get rid of them all at once, overnight on a dime. You have to eliminate them stage by stage. So, how do we eliminate stage by stage? The first group or the first stage consists of transgression by deed and speech. That is, talking kilesa, mental defilements, from the different angle, different approach. Before it's just by types, lobha, dosa, moha. This time, it is the mental defilements through deed and speech, transgress through deed and speech. And the second one is defiled in thoughts. And the third is not detectable by deed and speech or even with thoughts. You can't detect it, you can't search it, you can't find it. But that defilement lay latent in the psyche of a person. So these three, you have to eliminate them stage by stage. First, deed and speech. Second, in thoughts. Third, the latent nature of mental defilements. Transgression by speech and deed is in Pali called vitakama kilesa, such as lying, hurting, harming, or in other words, simply put, breaking the five precepts. That is, transgression by deed and speech. Even though we say deed and speech, everything arises out of a thought. That's why you tackle the deed and speech and you tackle the thoughts later. Defilements and thought in Pali is called Priyutana kilesa. As an example, it's like conceit of feeling better than the others. You feel always one head above the others. Such things are called defilement in thoughts. When you have conceit, when you feel you're better than others, you're not talking about it. It is just that feeling inside you, feeling in your thoughts. When you feel that way, your body behaves different way. But it doesn't come out. Even though you have it in there, some people are very good at managing not to come out in words and action, physical action. Regardless, you can see from the nature, the posture, the manners of the body, how that person is feeling it. That is our defiling in thoughts. This one, the one in thought, is not only for the negative mental state, also can be found in the wholesome department as well. Let's say you felt you want to meditate. You're not talking to anybody and you go and meditate. And you have a thought, I want to go to retreat. That's in thought stage. And then you pick up things and go. Pick up things is deed, going deed. And when you say to a friend or to your family, I'm going to a retreat for 7 days, then it becomes speech. So it is what that follows, negative or positive, defines whether it's the defile or not defile. The third one is latent mental defilements. Latent mental defilements. In Pali, anusaya kilesa. Okay, the other two are quite straightforward, the first two. This one we need a little more explanation. Anusaya is a combination of two words. Anu is one word, saya is another word. Anu means constantly, and saya means dwelling or existing unknowingly. It exists, but you don't know that you exist. It is hidden, even hidden from yourself, from anybody, from everybody, and even from yourself. That mental defilement is. And latent, that's why it's called latent mental defilements. It even hides from your own conscious awareness. As I said, the first two group does not require further explanation, and the third does. So let's go a little deeper. Buddha said that the beginning of beings cannot be known. In other words, the beginnings of beings is a Dhamma not to be known or cannot be known. What is said was, it is a Dhamma that is not to be known. The latent kilesa lies hidden in the endless streams of aggregates of mind and matter. This body and mind are the five aggregates. It goes on and on and on, one life to the other, one life to the other. It's not transmigration. It is simply old mind and body disappear and a new mind and body appear. From this life to the next life, and even in this life, every mind and body is different from the next mind and body. Different set. We have talked about it in non-self, no soul. So, this latent kileta lies hidden in the endless streams of aggregates, the 5 aggregates, or you can soul, mind and matter. And it is not associated with your physical deed or verbal deed or mental deed. Or let's call it action, physical action, verbal action or mental action. It's not associated with them. Let's use an example to understand it. But how can that latent mental defilements go from one life to the other, one thoughts to the other, one speech and deeds to the other? Cannot be detected. But still it is going throughout the time constantly. Let's take an apple tree. An apple tree grows, blossoms and bears fruits repeatedly for as long as we can remember. Our generation, our parents, our great-great-great-grandfather generations, and so on. Apple tree exists and it grows and bears fruits. And we cannot know how that apple tree bears fruits by sight, sound, smell, taste, or touch. We can't detect that. How? The apple tree bears fruits. If you look at the fruits, in the roots, there's no fruit. In the trunk, in the branches, in the leaves, or in the flowers, you won't be able to find the fruits. But when the right conditions are met, the fruit appears. The quality of bearing apples has always existed in the countless generations of apple trees. That quality is there. We can't detect it through our 6 senses, but it's always there, and when the right conditions, the moment arrive, the apples come out. So we'll use that as an analogy. Similarly, latent mental defilement always exists, but cannot be known with the 6 senses. It's there. Forget about past lives. Let's talk about right now here. A gentle, polite person thinks he has no anger. But those kind of person, the anger will flash up when a despicable condition arises under their face. That anger that comes out only then in a very gentle, polite, let's even say docile, well-mannered person. You could hardly see anger all the time. Some manages through their intelligence. But when a certain condition that really makes them shrink, the anger flares up. That anger is the latent mental defilement. Becomes alive. before latent mental defilement is there, when I say alive, it becomes detectable. Before latent mental defilement is not detectable, but when a condition is met, it becomes alive, it becomes detectable. That anger comes out from the latent mental defilement. So, the same thing can be explained for greed, lobha. Normally, you are very strict and proper, let's say minimalist, even minimalist, or you will not take money, steal, even if you found a bunch of $100, you will pick it up and then try and find an owner, and if not, put it into charity. But the same person, let's put another cereal, happened to pick up a lottery ticket, not sign nothing, and later found out that is a $5 million prize winning ticket, then that person might rationalize it again. Nobody knows, don't know who the owner is. The owner might not even know that is a winning ticket. Oh, it is my luck, my lucky day, I deserve it, and might go out and cash it. See, at a certain limit, at a certain time, your principles break down. That is, latent mental defilement become alive under the certain set of conditions. It is challenging to know the existence of latent mental defilement, and it is even more difficult to eliminate or abandon them. So, those are the three different types or kinds of mental defilement. One, transgression through deed and speech, one by thought, and the third is hidden, latent mental defilement. How do we tackle these things? How do we manage these things? We manage these things with we call it the three trainings, Sikha. Okay. Sikha. What does it mean is, simply put, three training is training of morality, training in concentration, and training in mental development. Those are the three trainings. These three tools can be used to uproot all mental defilements. Morality or sila will subdue transgressive speech and deed. If you can observe 5 precepts, you will not transgress in terms of deed and speech. Concentration will subdue mental defilements and thought. Samadhi, concentration. And path wisdom eliminates or abandons the latent mental defilement. That's why all the yogis practice the three trainings: morality, concentration, and mental development, to uproot the three stages of kilesa. In mindfulness insight meditation or Satipatthana Vipassana, we observe materiality or matter. How do we do that? By observing rising and falling movement, bending, stretching, movements, eating, chewing, lifting, dropping. Those are all the expression of the materiality in our daily life. Feeling, Vedana, mind, Citta, and Dhamma, phenomenon. To practice observing the feeling, mind, and Dhamma is to understand the specific characteristics and common characteristics of mind and matter. In other words, full foundation of mindfulness, full foundation. Observe mindfulness of the mind, mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the feeling, and mindfulness of the Dhamma. This process, observing the four foundations, delivers the 13 stages of insight. You will get those insight 13 stages with time. And that is called Vipassana wisdom. Okay? Vipassana wisdom, 13 stages of insight. And as it is dealing with the mind and body, it's called Lokiya, mundane world. You have the insight or the wisdom of the mundane world, Vipassana insight. Path wisdom is called Lokuttara, ultra-mundane. Path wisdom provides the experiential understanding of the Four Noble Truths. Not intellectual, you experience the Four Noble Truths through the process. And we have now two classes of wisdom. One is the Vipassana wisdom, mundane wisdom. Another one is the path wisdom, ultra-mundane wisdom. So you also have two types of latent mental defilements. Each wisdom eliminates one type, another wisdom eliminates another type. One is called object latent mental defilement. You add the word object, a thing, an object. Latent mental defilement, aramana nusya. And another one is latent mental defilement, dwelling in the infinite stream of consciousness. Santana, Nusya. So there are two latent mental defilements. One is simply put object, another one is in a stream of continuous consciousness. So what does that aramana nusya mean? I'll just simply use the aramana nusya, object latent mental defilement. It arises due to objects. Without the objects, it cannot rise. Okay? To understand it, I'll put it with an example. Let's say you like cheese and crackers, especially a certain type of cheese and certain type of crackers. So let's say in a retreat, one day you got your favorite cheese and cracker at lunch. You feel very good, satisfied. My favorite cracker, my favorite cheese. At that moment, greed, or lobha, of the pleasant taste occurs. Why do you have that greed for that pleasant taste? Because at that moment you are not mindful. Suddenly you just relishes. Fantastic, great. And then a little later, of course, you remember and you say, oh, tasting, 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 and that feeling disappear at that time. But that little moment, unmindful moment, everything is your favorite, so it has a high impact on you. But you noted it disappear, you thought it's okay, gone. And that day, let's say in the late evening, you become hungry while you're doing sitting meditation. And at that time, because that hunger is the trigger point, and at that time suddenly you remember the cheese and cracker. No, automatically, simply hungry, but in your thought the cheese and cracker at lunch pops up. Because you have grasped on the cheese and cracker, that grasping, that intensity, that one little moment, unmindful moment of your favorite situation, you remember because of that grasping to it. That mental state is due to the object, in this case of cheese and cracker, but simply it could be anything, an object, a thing, staying latent in the mind. You grasped it, you noted it's gone, but still it lays latent in it. And what happened? When the proper conditions are right. What is the proper condition? In the evening you are hungry. When you are hungry, you have to eat something. The first thing that pops up in the mind is cheese and cracker. And that object or that cheese and crackers pops up and comes back into your mind. That is object latent mental defilement. But if your observation and noting is continuous, it will not happen. But you have the little lapse. Because of that comes in. Hope that explanation or the example explained what object latent mental defilement is. Now let's go to the other one. Is the latent mental defilement in a Satipatthana, continuous stream of consciousness. That one we have talked quite a bit before this one. So I will not repeat again. We added up the object latent mental defilement. So we subdue transgressive mental defilement with morality, sila. Deed and speech, defilements with sila, morality. Defiled thoughts with concentration. For the Satipatthana Vipassana yogis, it is the concentrations produced by the uninterrupted observation. That will eliminate or subdue the object latent mental defilement. By what? With the wisdom attained by observing thoroughly, penetratively, to know the nature of the mind and body. That's what we are practicing. And of course, when we have attained the path wisdom, in other words, you pass the threshold over the Vipassana wisdom and become Ariya domain. That's the path wisdom. That will eliminate or abandon the latent mental defilement in a continuous stream of consciousness that had existed for infinity in the past. When one's become a arahant or attain arahata megha, path wisdom of an arahant. So the applications of patience, commitment and effort in the practice of Vipassana. You keep on practicing Vipassana, that's it, will lead to path wisdom. And that will uproot Santana Anusaya. So all mental defilements are eliminated. May all of you be able to practice mindfulness insight meditation and be able to eliminate all kinds of mental defilements with Vipassana wisdom and path wisdom as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much.